Don't slip, you will die.
Yeah. Today I was gonna tell you a story about when I skateboarded off Travis Pastrana's roof.
This is so f***ing gnarly. I'm shaking like a mother.
That was a pretty intense stunt, and also something that I had been looking at for many, many years. And then it finally happened. So the story from start to finish of how that really came about was maybe 5 years prior to when this happened. Travis and I were on his roof with a big wheel, like one of those tricycles.
Okay. All right, so we've got our big wheel on top of a really big ass roof that's actually a lot steeper than I had anticipated. Okay, so what are we doing right now?
All right, we got the tricycle up, weights on top of the roof already. Roof, pool, tricycle's the last thing we need, and it's on the roof, and we're gonna test it out, put the weight on the trike and send it in the pool and see what happens.
10-4. You're doing a good job. Don't slip, you will die.
Yeah. We were up there. It was terrifying. Like when we got up there, his house is like 3 or 4 stories. Like it's so high, and the roof is like this. It's so steep.
God, this is steeper than shit.
And so when we got up there, we're like almost falling off the roof. And you fall, you're gonna die. Like you're literally going to hit the ground. You're gonna fall like 40 or 50 feet onto concrete.
1 sec. All right.
Got it?
Got it.
Don't drop it.
All right. All right. I need some help. I'm slipping. You got it? All right, hold up.
But then we realized that the pop that you need to go off the roof into the pool on a tricycle, like you'd hit the ground because you wouldn't make it to the pool.
It's so steep. I mean, it is steep.
This might not look that steep, but it is 10 times steeper than it looks. Travis is doing the splits without even trying.
Oh, you crazy fuck. This might break and then you're fucked. Like you will die. Wait, my phone's ringing. My mom's calling.
Oh, you should totally answer that call and tell her where you are.
Not a chance in hell.
We're up on the roof and it was like so sketchy that we just climbed back down and like called it that. But it had always been on my mind. It was one of the things that I really wanted to accomplish. His house is perfectly set up and the roof is slanted in such a degree that it's lined up perfectly to jump into the pool, like perfectly. But it's also the scariest thing ever because you're literally jumping over a full-blown deck and like 3 or 4 stories down. He has like roof shingles on his roof. They're all like super loose and sketchy. And so I was like, oh, the only way I'll ever be able to do it is if we line plywood up on the roof and then it'll be smooth so we can skate off the roof, and that's that. But the roof, just as it is super soft, and it's like just sketchy, like so sketchy. Therefore, I kind of just like called it at that. I never thought about it. So one day I had taken like a red-eye overnight flight to his house, and then I showed up. It was like 7 a.m. and I was like so tired and just like jet lagged and like, but the Uber driver drops me off. I get out and I close the door and I like put my backpack on and I look up and I'm just looking straight at the roof and I'm just like, oh, why did I just see that, you know? I was like, no, don't even do that. Just like ignore it. But it's been on my mind for years. It's been on my mind for years and years. Tried to take a nap, couldn't sleep. Everyone was like filming something out in the back. And I'm like, well, I'm gonna go look. So my friend Steve and I go and look at the roof and like, he grabs a ladder. I climb back up on the roof. This is so gnarly because the reason it's so gnarly is that when you skateboard on a roof, and I know this because I built my house into a skate park and I would skate on my roof, it's like it's super soft. The wheels can catch at any given moment. Like it's super sketchy.
This is so f***ing gnarly.
Once you drop, you're committed. Like if you can't skate off the roof, you are tumbling down the roof to your death. That's why it's so sketchy, and the roof is so steep that you can't test it out. So you don't know what the roof is gonna do. You don't know if the skateboard's even gonna work. So my whole plan was like, all right, if you do this and the skateboard doesn't move, then you're gonna have to abandon your skateboard and literally just like run off the roof, or at least try to run off the roof and then make it to the pool. And I'm tired, I'm jet lagged, I'm like, had no sleep. I'm like, forget this whole thing. So then I go into the back and like see what everyone's up to, and like they're not really doing anything. Everyone's not really doing anything at that moment. So I look at Steve again. I'm like, let's go do it. Let's just do it. I can't stop thinking about it. It's on my mind. And I go and see Travis. I'm like, Travis, can we get some plywood and let's put it on your roof and let's do this. And then for some reason, like there was no plywood anywhere. And finally I'm just like, you know what? Like, forget it. I'm just going to go for it. Like, I'm just going to try it. And I think it'll work out. And I walk up there and I'm shaking. I'm shaking like a mother. I can't stop shaking and trembling. It's like, I'm just like freaking out. Like, ugh. And then finally, I just like, you know, it's like, okay, 3, 2, 1, drop. And I just dropped in. And as soon as I could feel the board was like skating down the roof, I was so stoked. I was just like, yeah, it works. And then I jumped, got my trajectory right, made it into the pool. But as I bailed off the board, I'm just like floating, and it's like cliff jumps like that big are like super sketchy, especially when you're not sure if you're gonna make it. But you just have that time to float in the air. And I don't really do that much like cliff jumping into water anymore unless it's super calculated and like, I don't know, it's just kind of not my thing. But so then I get down, I look at the footage, and I like wasn't totally stoked on the footage. Not that the filmers were bad, but I didn't like the angles. I didn't really like care for the angles, and not that it's all about the footage. It was already like, oh my gosh, I just did this and I'm alive and I made it. But my adrenaline's still going, and of course like that, you know, is a high motivator to keep going. And so I'm soaking wet, board's soaking wet. I'm like, I'm gonna do it again.
Oh, dude, it was slippery.
Really?
Going down, my feet were fucking going like this.
But you stand here, like film from this way, you stand here, and I climb up there soaking wet. I'm telling you, this ladder is like so sketchy and so scary. And I'm literally so high above the ground, just like trying to like hold myself on the roof that is at an angle where you're like slipping down slowly, and then you're 60 feet off the ground, you know? So I'm like, and I'm wet. So I climb back up there, get on the edge of the roof again, and now the board, I don't even know like if the board's gonna work properly. I'm just like shaking, dripping wet, and I'm just like, okay, 3, 2, 1, dropping. And then I did it again. That time, the camera angle, I was a little bit more stoked on. And then I called it at that. I'm like, 2 times, we're good, no more. And we called it a day. So it was great, it was terrifying. Would I do it again? Absolutely not. And I don't encourage anybody to skateboard or jump off their roof into a pool or jump off anything into a pool. It's probably not worth it. And you'll be much happier without it. Maybe. Anyways, thanks for listening to my story. We'll talk to you next time.
Hey!
Oh shit.
I love how 10 minutes ago you're like, oh, I kind of want to do this. I better just do it within 10 minutes. Otherwise, it's not I want to see that the GoPro footage. It's going to be... Yeah, Trevor. Yeah.